So the tragedy. Powell returned. He shot Stitt in the knee while he was trying to jump out the window. And then after he shot Stitt and Stitt left and Jolks had skedaddled, Karen tried to flee and he shot her in the apartment one time. She got shot and she ran out the door and she ran down the stairs. The apartment was in the back of the Casa Marina Motel. There was a breezeway that went from the back, which was the Gulf side, to the front. And then it created sort of an alcove. So she got out and Powell pursued her. He grabbed her in the front of the motel in the alcove. And that's about when Officer Clark arrived. We're going to hear a little bit. What happened was he basically held her hostage. He was demanding his coke back. He was demanding the police leave.
I got a call. There were fireworks going off there. And they assigned me to check it out. And I knew that Jimmy Powell family owned that motel that I was going to be sent to. So I used extra caution that day. And in fact, I got out with my shotgun, which I normally would not do in a situation. But after it had only been a few weeks since the guy had been hired to rough me up, I figured anything was possible.
So shots had already been fired at the time. So what was the scene like when you pulled in? What did you find?
No, I pulled up out front, and I think I was on the side, slightly on the side, and because I didn't want to just walk down the front door. As soon as I did, I heard a couple more shots, and I heard it sounded like a woman screaming. So as I came around the corner, there was Jimmy Powell, and he had the victim around the neck and screaming at her that he was going to kill her or something of that nature. Went around the other side to try to get up behind him. He started cutting loose on me from behind his stairwell. And so I was shooting back and forth, and he was barricaded in behind this concrete staircase. And every time I'd stick my head up, I was laying down, and every time I would fire him, he'd fire 2 or 3 times.
By the time that Powell surrendered, can you talk a bit about how it was that he, came out of the alcove and gave himself up?
Like I said, he would jump out, he'd fire 2 shots at me, and then he'd duck back in. I was able to ricochet a couple of rounds into the behind the staircase, and that was part of what made him come out. He started thinking he was going to get hit by the ricochets.
Did he say, "Okay, I'm coming out"? Was it sort of like what you see on TV, or how did it go down when he finally came out?
There was never any conversation other than the fact I kept yelling at him, "Come out with your hands up!" And like I said, he finally did it, but we never had any conversation at that point.
These are the criminal charges that were filed for Jimmy Powell. He, of course, got first-degree murder, killing Karen Jolley. And he got aggravated assault for the shooting Jeff Stitt for one of them, and then also taking some shots at the police officers. He was held without bail. But Stitt ended up getting arrested for possession of cocaine. They took him to the station. He gave a truthful statement at the police station. And the statement that he gave was under the impression that he was not being charged himself, but that he was helping with the investigation of what had just happened with Jimmy Powell and Karen. He didn't think that he was in any trouble, this kind of thing. So here's the thing. Stitt's statement was personally incriminating. He admitted to the people at the police station that he stole the cocaine. And in fact, if you read the newspaper articles from just after the shooting, it literally says, woman killed over stolen cocaine. That is the headline of the article in the newspaper. And while it didn't relate what happened inside the apartment, what it does make clear is that, cocaine was stolen. All right. There was a baggie of cocaine that Stitt had. And so he gave a truthful statement at the police station. And the statement that he gave was under the impression that he was not being charged himself, but that he was helping with the investigation of what had just happened. So, but the thing is that he incriminated himself, because stealing a controlled substance, cocaine, I don't care who you stole it from. You don't have to go steal it from somebody who legally has cocaine. If you steal cocaine from somebody, it's a third-degree felony, grand theft, okay? So you're not allowed to do that. And the other thing is, Stitt didn't pull the trigger of the gun. Jimmy Powell did, right? But he was culpable for third-degree murder because he was the impetus in stealing the cocaine. He was the impetus for Karen Jolley being shot, and for Jimmy Powell having a motive, and this is very important, a motive to kill Karen Jolley. So we're going to hear a little bit from Dave Clark.
I guess the dope, the cocaine that had caused all this was laying on the sidewalk, and I guess that maybe when it appears that Jeff Stitt had jumped out the window, and it either thrown it out the window and then jumped out, or he dropped it. And while I was there with the handcuffs on Powell, Stitt come around the corner, and I didn't even know he was involved in it at the time. Come around the corner and grab the baggie of dope, cocaine, and one of the other officers saw him do it and grabbed him.
So here's this guy whose girlfriend just got murdered by this guy he was trying to buy coke from. There's a big shootout, and the guy still walks up. He wants his dope. He picks it up off the sidewalk.
Yeah, and he had a bullet hole in his leg where Powell had shot him. Like I said, he was concerned with one thing. He didn't concern that his girlfriend was laying dead out front. It concerned him that that dope was going to get away from him.
That was never reported in the papers, that Stitt was picked up. He wouldn't have been picked up. Johnny Jilks, he didn't get picked up. He didn't go to the police station. He didn't get charged with anything. He was there, but he skedaddled. Never a mention of the guy. Stitt, yeah, he had a hole in his knee, but the thing is that the guy literally dropped the baggie when he jumped out the window. He walks out. After this shootout, after all of this terrible stuff happens, he walks over to pick up his coke off the sidewalk. And that is when he got arrested. If he had not walked over there and picked up that cocaine, he probably would have just gone to the hospital because he'd just gotten shot in the knee. And that was it. So this is how he got arrested. What we're going to see is that due to connections, and when we get to the actual case, Stitt probably did other crimes too, and these crimes were related to the trial because he testified at the trial. And the thing is that from the original statement he gave to what he said on the stand, they don't match. He perjured himself. He told a different story. Third-degree felony, obstruction of justice, by telling a story that's not truthful or trying to cover up for yourself, obstruction of justice. Jeff Stitt probably committed 4 felonies over the course of this saga.